Hello and welcome to another episode of Improv Sucks. I'm your host, Nelson Velasquez, and in this episode, we're going to be covering 3 tips that you can use so that you can host your next improv show like a pro. Now, I understand many of us don't have a lot of hosting experience. Many times we're just actors in the show, or we're production people, or maybe just audience members. So hosting is something that is a bit nebulous to people. But I'm hoping that with these tips, you can not only take care of yourself, but your ensemble during a show. Now, if you find any of these tips useful, feel free to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Now let's get on to those tips. The first tip that I would like to see you do is I want you to take 30 seconds off the very top of the show and explain what the audience is watching. That's right, what are they watching? And here's why. Many times an audience is there and they don't know why they're there. And what I mean by that is that they know that they're coming to an improv show, or they know they're coming to a comedy show, but they have no idea exactly what you're gonna be doing. Maybe they showed up and they think it's gonna be stand-up. Maybe they thought it's gonna be a podcast recording. Maybe they think it's sketch comedy, right? So if you take 30 seconds to explain to them what they're gonna be watching, they're gonna pay that back in dividends, I promise, right? So it could be something as simple as, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna be performing an Armando for you tonight. And what that means is we're gonna be doing a series of scenes inspired from a monologue or a story told by our monologist over here. I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much. Or maybe you're doing a short form set and you're doing Foursquare, right? Could be something like, ladies and gentlemen, for our next presentation, we're going to be seeing a series of scenes in this square over here, inspired off of your suggestions, and we're going to be rotating between those different scenes and you're going to laugh, right? Something that simple. Right? The more time you spend up top to level set them, the more you've brought them into the fold, the easier it is to entertain them at that point. Because it shows that you, as a host, are invested in the audience, and the audience is going to want to reciprocate that back to you. The second tip I'd like to give is that I would like you to go ahead and get a good suggestion at the very top of the show, especially if you're doing long form, right? Get a good suggestion, right? Nothing peeves me more than watching an improv team come out and be like, hi, yeah, man, we're the scabies, and can we get a suggestion of anything at all? Yeah, I mean, that works, and you're probably gonna have a great show. Maybe you are so good at what you do that you're bound to have a great show, but it kind of, as an audience member, gives me the feeling like you're not really into asking us a really good question. Like, this is the one time you get to talk to us, and then that's what you're asking? Like, just tell me anything, whatever. It is what it is, right? So why not invest in your audience, right? And not only invest in your audience, but also set up your team to be successful as well. So for example, if you know that your team is really good at being physical, maybe you ask the audience of like, can I get a suggestion of an exercise that you performed at the gym last week? Or if your audience is really into tech, maybe it's a tech audience, maybe you're doing it for a corporation, and you know that your people behind you are really good at pop culture. Maybe you're like, please give me the title of your favorite Star Trek episode, right? Now you set up your team so that they can improvise to the top of their intelligence, but your audience was asked to go ahead and invest in the show a little bit. They had to think a little bit more than just like whatever random thought you had in your head, right? Now they actually put some thought into it, and now they're gonna be like, I wanna watch you take what I gave you, and I want you to make it better. And I want you to make it entertaining while you're at it, right? Because your audience, for all intents and purposes, it is kind of dumb. Remember, like, they're kind of dumb in the sense of like they're they don't know why they're invested, but they're smart in that they can tell whether or not you are or you're not, right? The third thing that I'd like you to go ahead and do is to come in with some energy. I come in with a lot of energy with these videos, but you don't need to be like me. You don't need to be manic when you come out with your energy, but you do need to have more energy than your audience does. So you kind of have to like gauge that. If your audience is at a 2, be at a 5. If your audience is at a 5, be at an 8, right? Audience is at a 10, well, You're going to need to factor something in at that point, right? But the fact that you have more energy does a few things, right? Number one, it shows that you're the professional. It shows that you're different than the rest of the audience, that they cannot do what it is that you're doing, and that reminds them that, like, hey, you paid money to come see us, right? We're the high energy group. We're invested in putting on some fantastic improv for you this evening, for you to watch and make your money worth it, right? The other thing it also does is that it creates a feedback loop, hopefully, right? If your audience is at a 2 and you're at a 7, for example, right, your audience is naturally going to want to match that, right? And if your players see your audience getting much more invested and much more energetic, well, they're going to play a lot harder too, right? And so when they start playing harder and they're making the audience laugh, laughter makes them even more hyped up, and maybe they go up to a 7. So then now your team is going to be like, hey, let's go for the 10 now, right? And so everyone's having a really good time, lots of energy in a room, really, really, really fun for you to do that, right? So go ahead and have more energy than your audience does as much as possible, and bring it up and ratchet it up so that you get a 10 by the end of the night. So let's recap our 3 tips. First tip is explain to the audience what it is that they're watching. Then I want you to go ahead and get yourself a good suggestion. And number 3, I want you to go ahead and come in with higher energy than your audience. Again, if you found any of these tips useful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any tips of your own, things that you use whenever you're out there improvising and you're hosting a show, what are some of the things that you look for an audience to do, to get your audience to respond to what it is that you're giving them in a show? All right, what are some hosting tips that you've got? Go ahead and put those down in the comments down below. I've been your host, Nelson Velasquez, and thank you for watching.